All right, today we're going to dig into something really strange, a kind of paradox that was happening for years right inside British Columbia's home care system. So get this, it's a story about a mandatory rule that for over a decade wasn't actually a rule at all. It sounds wild, I know. Let's get into it.
I mean, just think about that for a second. Imagine your job, your contract, your paycheck, all dependent on you following a rule. But when you go to the people in charge, the ones who literally write the rule book, they tell you, yeah, that rule, it doesn't exist. Sounds impossible, doesn't it?
Well, believe it or not, this wasn't some hypothetical brain teaser. For the folks in BC's home sharing program, these are people providing incredible 24/7 care in their own homes. This was their actual reality. For years.
So how on earth could something like this even happen? Well, you got to look at the way the system is set up. You've got CLBC at the top. They're the government body setting the official policy. Then you have the agencies in the middle. They're the ones writing the contracts with the providers. And at the bottom, you have the providers themselves carrying all the weight of the actual day-to-day work. You can already see the disconnect, right? The power is up here, but the responsibility is all the way down there.
Now hold on, I want to make one thing absolutely crystal clear. This is not a knock on WorkSafeBC. Not at all. WorkSafeBC is a fantastic and essential agency that provides disability insurance and keeps workplaces safe. It's a safety net we all need. The issue we're talking about here isn't the program itself, it's about how that program was being forced on people. And here we go. This is the core of the whole mess. On one side, you have the official policy from the top, from CLBC. Before 2024, they were clear, WorkSafeBC coverage was optional. But then you look at the other side, the reality written into agency contracts. There, it was treated as completely mandatory, a total contradiction. So you're probably wondering, how did agencies enforce a rule that wasn't on the books? It all came down to the fine print, to language just like this. This bit here basically gave them the power to say, you know what, we're just going to sign you up ourselves. They could use the provider's own money to do it, with or without their consent. They essentially invented a requirement out of thin air. Okay, so we've talked about policy and contracts, which can feel a little abstract. But what did this actually mean for a real person trying to do their job? Let's look at a specific case that shows exactly what was going on. So let's talk about a provider named Victor. He was working with an agency called IFRC, and the whole situation really came to a head when Victor looked at his pay and realized, wait a minute, a chunk of his money was just missing. The agency had held it back. And here's the play-by-play. Step 1, the agency holds back his funds. Step 2, they take his money and use it to register him for WorkSafeBC. And step 3, Victor, knowing something was seriously wrong here, filed an official complaint straight to the top, to CLBC, to get a final word on it. And this is the smoking gun. CLBC investigated, and what did they decide? They sided with the provider. They said the agency's action was improper and that they had to return the money. This was it, official proof. The highest authority in the system confirmed that the mandatory rule being enforced by the agency just wasn't real. And listen, this wasn't some short-term mix-up. This gap between the official policy and what was actually happening went on for more than a decade, for over 10 years. And the whole time, CLBC was saying, nope, it's not our policy. It wasn't until July 1st, 2024 that the official rule finally changed, making it mandatory for everyone and finally closing that gap. So, okay, the rule is clear now. That's good. Problem solved, right? Well, not so fast. What about all those years before? The policy change came with a huge catch: no back pay. So all those providers who paid out of their own pockets for this rule that wasn't a rule, they just weren't getting that money back. When you step back and look at the whole picture, you realize this isn't just about one rule. It exposes a really deep structural flaw in the system. It's a setup where the people making the official policies can say one thing, but the middlemen, the agencies, can enforce something completely different. And the caregivers are the ones caught in the middle, footing the bill with no real power. And that's what we're left with, a huge hanging question. If the official governing body didn't require this for over 10 years, then who did? How did a requirement that didn't exist become standard practice for so many people for so long? And what does that tell you about where the power really lies in this system?